What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman. And with us again, we've got ourselves a returning champion. It's Mr. Michaell Magrutsche on the podcast. How we doing, brother?
I'm alive. That's my answer.
Hey, that's always a good answer, right? For me, that's always the way my life has gone. Another day is a good thing.
And you don't have to lie and pretend. You know, it's a system pretending, oh, I'm great. And you know that the person is dying inside, you know?
Right. So I wanted to have you back on today. I think this is like your third or fourth time on the podcast. I think you're our most returning guest at this point. I love talking with you. So we always are swapping stuff on Instagram. You always find some great stuff on there. And we've been talking a lot about this like anti-human climate change agenda. And like within that, there's so much to talk about because it's not just climate change. It's like the way for these monsters to push an anti-human agenda and get us to go along. Well, not me and you, us, but like the royal societal us to go along with it. That's kind of the way I've viewed it. What do you see when you look at this thing?
I started looking at it as that, oh, these a-holes or these horrible people. I started looking at this, but the more I dive into it, I see that even, you know, all these financial superstars and everything, nobody's aware of the water that we are all in, which is it's never enough, whatever I do, which comes from flawed financial principle of a system that we created that is flawed. Mm-hmm. It was very good when you build systems because I love systems, and systems are great because when you live in a tribe and everybody has to attend to their horses. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden there's a guy that is really good with horses, takes half an hour shorter than you. And they say, hey, we pay you some money and take care of all the horses. And we don't have to go all hunting in the woods for food. The guy's taking care, you know, a couple of people take care of the food. So systems are a great thing to support that people can grow and do other things and expand. And for example, let's say we are in a tribe where there's only wooden huts, and then we don't have to tend to horses and the food and just to survive. We make out, okay, we can actually do concrete, you know, and create, you know, fundamentation of you know, fundaments and where we put the wood hoods on it or whatever, huts on it.
Yeah.
So systems is essentially something very human centric. But because there is an imbalance of financial principles, it's there's never enough. Mm-hmm. And because you get punished when you don't do this, when you don't pay your taxes, when you always get punished. You run a red light, you run a stoplight, you get punished. Anywhere, whatever you do is punished, right? Because it's all rules and regulations. And those are generalizations because the rules and regulations can only be guidelines because 8 billion people are all one of one. There's no other Nika, no other Michaell like us. And we are one of 8 billion. Imagine how wonderful that is, how empowering that is. We are not generalized like, oh, white man, you know, or, you know, a black woman or a woman. We are one of one humans. And life is to figure that out. Why you're unique. Yeah. But since nature doesn't make mistakes, we are all one of one. And so we are also part of nature, right? So that's why I always say, look at the human centric stuff where we are all humans, all ones, and we are part of nature. And when we look at that, life gets really easy because human centrically life is very easy. But we created systems, and we are not God, and we're not the nature. We had to do it linearly. Okay, I got this first, and I got the next thing, and I got the next thing. So they became very complicated, plus always have to tiptoe around. It's never enough, whatever we do, because all systems core is financial principles. That means a religion a nonprofit or anything has to work on, it's never enough. So even if a church makes a lot of money, why does it have to do more for next year? Why can it not be safe? So there is no sustainability, no enoughness. Everybody is in the same water, and because we all feel it, it's never enough. Whatever we do, we can't move out of it. Yeah. So when I worked on the wars and all that stuff, on looking human-centrically at war, I especially find it. I think we are in wars forced, because if you don't pay your taxes, you're punished. Mm-hmm. So when you pay your taxes, part of that tax money is used for wars worldwide. It's not America. I'm not pointing out anybody. It's worldwide. Yeah. So you are punished if you don't pay your taxes. And what the taxes
when you do
are
pay
used
it, you
for
punish
is war.
Someone else. Yeah, you punish someone else.
Yeah, no, you kill somebody else, destroy his culture, and destroy his infrastructure. Plus, the people that start wars, it's not like all Americans fight the war against all whatever. Mm-hmm. No, it's this. The leaders don't pay with their money the wars. The leaders that actually start the war, which is totally unnatural.
They make
because
money.
Otherwise we would have two-year wars in nature, and we are part of nature. So it's totally unnatural. But it is unnatural, and it is a consequence of it's never enough. Because because in nature you don't have a harvest every day. We have not every year is a great harvest. Sometimes it's less, but you're also not going so extreme to the edge. Systems have to go to the edge because it's never enough, whatever we do. And then when we collapse, then we collectively collapse. We have huge wars and stuff where everything is totally basically reset, the money under the table, the non-taxable things, all the stuff is reset in a war. All the bad stuff that happened to humanity just disappeared. There's no, and the greatest that we all accept, and we shouldn't accept it anymore, excuses, it got lost in the war.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much.
Go ahead.
And there's so many, gosh, I could say so much for that. Economically, it's such a nightmare. When you said they need these wars as a reset, another thing that resets is prices. So look at what happened during COVID. Prices got reset to where it's hey, a gallon of milk was $5 before COVID. Now it's $7. Yeah. And then after going to Ukraine, it's $7.50. And now we're going into Gaza, and now we're looking at $8. And I don't know the exact cost of a gallon of milk. I don't pay attention to those things, but talking about systems, I'm reading a really great book right now that I think you would really like. It's called The Not So Wild Wild West: Property Rights on the Frontier. And it's just about all of these people went west with nothing, and they had to create these systems, and they had to figure out, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And it was specialization of labor. So you had somebody who was good with horses. You had somebody who was good with machines. You had somebody who was good with a gun. And you were able to put together these systems where it was cattle associations and water rights associations. And even in the beginning with the natives, the relations with the natives was very good in the beginning. There was lots of treaties, lots of trade. They didn't have traditional property rights in the same way that we did, because they didn't have government systems where they were enforcing different rules and regulations and shit like that. But what they did have was customs that were built over hundreds of thousands of years. And customs are also systems. So they were able to, if somebody came into your camp and robbed you, they knew what they could do and get away with. Hey, I'm going to hang this guy and nobody's going to say anything about it. Or hey, he only stole a sheep. I'd like to kill him, but I think that would be bad. So I'm just going to, capture him, and we're going to kind of let everybody know what's going on, and we'll kind of come together and decide what to do with this guy, But it wasn't until the government came in, and really it was the Civil War that really screwed everything up. Horses kind of screwed everything up for the natives because they were kind of an arboreal species. And then once they got horses, they were able to kind of go out and have war with each other. But really, between the natives and the white people, up until 1860, you can look at these stats. Very few battles, lots of treaties. So if there was a battle, because like your chief couldn't really keep control of all their guys. People just kind of did what they wanted. So it's like, hey, I nailed out this treaty with you, and your guy just came over and scalped my wife. And it's like, well, I can't really do anything about it, but we can hammer out something else. We'll give you some more land because of it, and we can kind of make a deal going here. But once the United States had a standing army after the Civil War, they had nothing to do with them. So they just kind of unleashed them on the natives, and then all sorts of problems started. You know, a struggling farmer at that point who's struggling economically, or maybe got in a little over their head. Now they can call up the army and say, hey, look, we've got this native problem over here. You guys need to come in and fix it. So now the army comes in, kills off all the natives. And what are they doing in the meantime? Buying food from the farmer. So you really just like had this period of time in the 19th century, which was the most prosperous time for any country in the history of the world. And then war got involved with it and just destroyed everything.
Yep. And we don't trust. See, it's about generalization. Women are less. White is better than color because the white was winning against the gods, so it must be better.
We had machines.
And the English is not the master, because in England, between a duchess and the duke, there's a difference. I mean, they're so systematic that even a duchess doesn't have the same rights than a duke. I mean, how much more can you think? And so they brought it in, and I understand it, because you want to control a whole, territory, half of the world. And I understand that this is our development. This is our growth to find out how to run systems. But it pivots. It pivoted to where systems were giving us what they call is the shiny object syndrome, where we looked and said, oh my God, we created New York, we created Google, we created Apple. Well, I mean, we did this collaborative, but no one person created New York. Not one person created Google, but we iconize. We say, oh, Steve Jobs. Oh, this, we iconize this thing, which is also systemic. And then we lose, because that's why everybody wants to be a leader. And I always ask, why does everybody want to be a leader? Because what we condition ourselves is, once you're a leader, you can finally be yourself and you can do what you want to do. Only that's another system lie, because talk to any leader, and I worked with a lot of them, and you probably too, is not free. You are free. You and I are freer than a leader, because once the system sinks, because it's never enough, right? There can be money made, Taylor Swift or whatever. Everybody sucks on their tits. That's just everybody said we gotta nurture ourselves from that person or that person. And from the talent, the talent always gets paid less. The system makes the most. And you can't fight systems. It's not about fighting system. It's about humans becoming aware and said, look, we created every system, every man-made system. So we can change it and adapt it, but that costs money. And that's why people say, I'd rather make money and force the humans to do to adapt and to think, instead of saying, I can't do this anymore. People have grown up, I mean, we still have 40% of working people in the whole world that have to live by $5.50 a day. I mean, always systems takes advantage because of the financial, it's never enough, always takes advantage of humanity. So every time you are system relevant and says, oh, the system says I should tell Nick he's a bad person because he does this, is because I can't tell you anything. You are one of one, I'm one of one. You can say, it helped me to do this, but you don't give me 3 steps, 5 steps, which is so, what's the 5 steps to do? To generalize us. We can't generalize us. We are one of 8 billion with an own view of life perspective. And so I think the real problem is we got a shiny object syndrome and combined, which is good. We should be having a share and go, oh my God, we created this. Can you remember, how motorcycles were? Like simple, I can go, then, and they didn't even start. They didn't even, you kick down and there was not a guarantee that a motorcycle can start. Now, this is not even a question.
Yeah.
To start a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's electric now.
So no, but also we grow. So we grow and we should have the feedback like an artist. We should have the feedback that we can create Google. But what we can't have that feedback and at the same time say we must make more all the time. That doesn't work. What is if next year something happens, like COVID? We have to adapt, and we did adapt, and we have to collaboratively adapt. Not just the people on the bottom and the top people don't need to adapt, because rules and regulations are guidelines. As like if you and I don't follow the rules, okay, not a big deal, we get caught or not. But if I'm responsible, when I was a politician, when I'm responsible, I didn't do anything left because I said, other humans are paying me. I'm responsible for giving them the maximum for their money. So when you spend $1 on me, and I didn't even get paid, that was voluntarily being a politician. But let's say I get $1. I see my community pays $10,000 for art. I'm not going to hire somebody, a highfalutin symphony orchestra. I'm trying to get the most art to the people because the people paid me. So they should get, and I believe that any art you put them, in touch with helps them to get wiser, But I wouldn't say, oh, I have to get Taylor Swift. I have to get that, if she doesn't attract people, And Taylor Swift would actually be really cheap because she attracts a lot of people, but she wouldn't do it for 10 grand,
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's something. Talking, if we could switch gears a little bit and talk motorcycles here, there's it's something to watch what's happened in racing. So when I started racing, I was like 15, 16. So that would have been about 2000, 2001. At that time, like when you went to the racetrack, there was millions of dollars in the pits. I mean, millions of dollars. We're talking motorhomes, bikes, like the works. Then 2008 comes around and everything completely changes. All those motorhomes go away. Even now, the tracks have changed. Like the tracks used to dig them deep, so they would get these big, deep ruts into them. And now they just make them flat because they're designed for vets now, not kids. When I was racing, it was designed for kids who were trying to go to the next level, to be, a great amateur or possibly a professional at some point. Now it's just like, you're a vet and you've got an extra 100 grand. Cool. Like come out and have fun. Like it's totally changed, and that's all economics.
It's never enough.
It's all economics.
It's never enough.
Yeah.
It's only in economics that when money counts more than humans, that's when the billionaire and the beggar both have to think 80% about money, how to get more money, then there's something inherently wrong, and we have to fix it because we created it. We can fix it and say enough. We can integrate, and I bet you there's financial specialists that say, yeah, how can we make a value proposition of enough? So we have the debt and we have enough, and we're not in the financial system now. You have to make the money and then to reward yourself. Well, if I can be punished for a thing, I should also be rewarded, and the reward should be at least enough. So when you pay 5 years taxes that say, you know what, you always do right, Nick, you pay your tax, you do this stuff. This year you don't pay taxes, or we give you this advantage, or whatever, or we help you when you're retired that you get this. There needs to be a reward, not a punishment. And even retirement is not a reward. It gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
People want you to work to 70 and those stuff. And this is with motorcycle, it's everywhere. It's our whole life is that. And by the way, when I raced, I was a trial racer. I couldn't do races today in trail because it's acrobatics.
Yeah.
It's like trail has nothing to do with motorcycle, going slowly a river up in the woods. It is in stadiums, and it's acrobatics.
Yeah.
And only the best of the best of the best, that start with 2 years old, can actually do it.
Yeah.
And
yeah. It's wild. Like I was riding like out in the mountains when I was 4 years old, but I didn't get on like a real motocross track until I was like 15. And I was able to almost become a professional because I was a really good rider when I started racing motocross. But man, if I would have started at 3 or 4, like some of the guys I was racing with, man, it would have been a totally different game.
With just you. That's it.
It was just
you
me.
And another, probably.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We could just do sports for the fun.
Yeah, we could. But the competition is what makes it fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also it's the camaraderie. There was camaraderie. There was not, because you see that in every business. Remember, people, they loved their job. You went to the cobbler or whatever, and it was awesome. The guy loved his job, was 40 years in the job. I'm not saying people should do that, but I'm saying they loved their occupation. Nobody loves their occupation. I always,
it's craftsmanship. A cobbler is a craftsman, right? Like they are doing their job and doing it well because that's their job. Like as a lineman, craftsmanship was huge to us. Like we use square washers on stuff. You don't do your washers in a diamond. If the boss is driving by and he's looking up at that cross arm and sees a diamond washer, it's like, what the hell are you doing? We make them square so they go square. And that's just craftsmanship. That's like, I've got an old like Underwood typewriter I can see from right here. The thing is just gorgeous. The filigree, the painting on it, like you can tell that somebody spent hours and hours and hours painting this thing. Not because like that was just because it was their job. No, because they wanted to make the best product that they possibly could, because they had pride in craftsmanship. Now everything's stamped out. Everything's stamped out on an assembly line. There's no craftsmanship to anything. Like there's very few industries where like something is handmade. So like if going back to dirt bikes again, Triumph just came in. They created a new dirt bike, and very smart what they did. Triumph's is in much in the same boat as Harley Davidson. Their group of customer is literally dying right now. Like they are in their 70s and they are dying. Harley said, hey, we're going to spend $1 billion building an electric bike. Triumph said, no, we're going to spend $100 million, or probably less, probably a couple million, and make a dirt bike, right?
Yeah, right.
And this dirt bike, man, it's got hand welds on the frame, and you can just see it. You look at it and you go, man, that looks good. And now we've got Ducati coming in. Ducati is, as you know, they are, the champagne of motorcycles. If they're coming in, they're not just going to bring some bike and toss it in and say, let's see how we do. Like they're coming to win. They're coming to elevate the level. And what was the most interesting thing to me about this is Ducati has a ton of technology behind them. They're owned by Porsche and Lamborghini, or by Lamborghini, not Porsche.
Audi.
Maybe Audi. Whatever. Yeah, Audi, Lamborghini. So they've got tons and tons of technology behind them. If you were just like in a bubble and you were paying attention to climate change and you go, hey, look, Ducati's going to make a new dirt bike. What kind of dirt bike are they going to make? Everybody would tell you, oh, they're going to make an electric bike. That's where technology's going. Like that's where everything's moving. They'll just make an electric bike. Nope. They went for a gas-powered 4-stroke. And why is that? Because the technology for the electric bikes aren't actually there. Like people have been tricked into buying into a new technology that's not ready yet. And I keep hearing people on like the dirt bike side where they go, well, they just came out with the new electric bike. That's a badass bike. But all it is a fancier version of the electric bike that went out of business 10 years ago. Nothing has really changed about it. Like it's better. Like it's got better suspension, better components, better chassis, that type of stuff. But the battery and the engine, exactly the same. And you hear everybody trying to hand wave off all the problems. They go, oh, well, it'll only run for 20 minutes right now. But in a couple years, it's, the technology's getting so much better, but it's not. Like you can only do so much with a lithium ion battery and solid state batteries. Toyota, who is pumping a ton of money into solid state batteries right now. They say that they're 10 years off. If they say they're 10 years off, they're 15. If it's 15 for a car, it's 20 for a motorcycle. So now you've got these people who are tricked into thinking this is the future. And what really drives me nuts is they go, oh, look, these things are quiet. We're not going to get in trouble for noise. We'll be able to open tracks anywhere. And it's like you're missing the point. The point is not to shut it down because of the noise. The point is to shut it down, period. They don't want us riding dirt bikes. They think it's a dirty, disgusting habit. They look at it like, they look at it like smoking. This is a dirty, disgusting habit that's terrible for the environment. We don't care if it's electric or if it's fucking nitroglycerin. We want it gone. And these motorcycle companies are been dumb enough to think, hey, look, we'll build the 4-strokes and then they'll get off our back. They didn't get off our back for the 4-strokes. Well, maybe if we build the electric bike, they'll get off our back. They're never going to get off our back until you're not allowed to ride, period.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
And they go, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to.
And it's forbidding people. The more it's forbidden, that's why it's never enough.
Yeah.
The more I forbid, the more you are happy with little, with an electric bike, with a 4-stroke bike. And then the more you like that. So the more is forbidden, the more is rules and regulations, the more you have to be system relevant to even
participate.
Survive, yeah. And you have to totally agree, and you have to take the money that you get. And that's what it is. And it is like every problem, we have 80% of problems, of human problems are system relevant, are made by man-made systems. And what I don't understand is if we made these systems, we can fix them. We are not God and fix gravity. We cannot God say we can change weather, even though people
think we can.
but we can change every system we have.
That's a very hard task, though, because like the people in charge of the systems, it's their job to make sure the system doesn't change, right?
Oh, you open a can of worms, because the people don't know on top that they have more fear than you and I to survive.
They should,
because they don't want to 100%. They don't want to lose their position. Do you think Elon Musk said, I'm the richest man in the world. I'm just going into my shed and invent new stuff for humanity? No, he can't, because he's so secluded from everybody and just has the team that says yay. And now he was too long secluded from humanity. Now he knows, his feeling says, I can never be a part of normal people anymore.
He's an alien.
And then you're so afraid to lose that, you hurt other humans even, because you and I need, let's say, $2,000 to live. He needs 100 million every month. And if he doesn't pay that, so what we need to see that these false financial principles create distorted humans that are the leaders of humanity. See, if I do something, crooked or whatever, it's me. And perhaps the person I do something crooked about. They are responsible for millions, billions of people, and they are so stressed, number one, because how to distract from that responsibility. And, and the most violators of war and the most violators of rules are the leaders.
Oh, yeah.
And they should be the most, because they're responsible for other humans. And this makes them totally system relevant. And they're like robots. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Boom. Oh, we needed a war, you guys. Okay, let's say a war. How do we reset that? Okay, all banks go under. We're going to do this. Because everybody of those people is so afraid that they collapse and lose their lifestyle. And they don't even enjoy the lifestyle, because in the 80s, remember the 80s, right? People were rich. A rich person was this. I drove a Royce, I have a Rolls Royce, I have a Mercedes, and for every day I have a Volkswagen bus or something for every day. And I have a couple of motorcycles. That was a rich person. Look at rich people today. They have 20 supercars, $500 million of things. Yeah. When you own a motorcycle, you have a responsibility to clean it and to fix it and to oil change it and whatever.
Yeah.
Look at just the system, what system victims they are. Because today, when you want to be rich, you have to do this. Otherwise, you're not part of it.
Yeah.
You know? And this is what I see. That's what I try to make people aware. Nobody's excused of this.
No.
It's never enough. There's not a single person on this earth that can say, okay, I have enough money. I don't care what Nick and Michael say. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
If the whole world feels it's never enough, you feel it too. You can be on an island in Hawaii with a fence around it and a bunker of how much did the Bezos pay? $120 million bunker. You can have all that. It will never take away the emotion that everybody feels, because you know, when you go in a room
he's got that whole thing. And what's he want to do now? Go to space. Look, I've done everything I can do here. I've got the island. I've got the bunker. Like, what do I do now? I need to go to space. Like, yeah, man. And you know what else was going on in the 80s? Financial systems weren't as jacked up as they were now. Interest rates were up, way up.
Yeah.
My mom bought a house. I think if I remember right, like this could be within a month of when she graduated high school, her and my father bought a house.
Yes.
Like, good luck any 19-year-old who doesn't come from money buying a house in an economic system like this. This is why I don't know if you're a Bitcoiner, but I'm a Bitcoiner. I'm very jacked up on Bitcoin.
I don't understand it. I'm so neurodiverse.
Oh man, you would really find it interesting, because it's kind of escape hatch to all this. And like, I'm not going to explain everything Bitcoin to you right now, but it's an interesting thing because it was created to escape these systems that are enslaving us, essentially. Like, these financial systems are enslaving us. We're our 40% of our income is taken at the point of a gun every year, April.
Used to kill other humans.
A point of the gun, and what money they don't take from us in taxes, they devalue with inflation, and they rub our faces in it with calling massive bills the Inflation Reduction Act, that anybody with a basic understanding of economics knows is complete bullshit. You can't stop inflation by printing more money. That's exactly what caused inflation to begin with.
I'm not an expert in any system stuff, because you know me, I couldn't even fit in system my whole life.
Yeah.
But you confirm, because when you do, humans don't do something to each other. They do something to each other when they're pushed in a corner. The moment you take an animal, you push it in a corner, it bites. It could be the cutest cat or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
When you push humans in a corner, like Elon Musk needs, like, let's say, 100 million a month, all rationality goes out the window. When they didn't have fears, you kill other humans by making or justifying, oh, blacks are not human. You justify because it's a lack. We have this collective lack. Everybody's in it. Nobody's excused. I don't care. That's not our opinion. You what you say, everything I say, look at it human-centrically. If it wasn't correct, why would humans do other things to human? And try to talk themselves out of it and say, no, it doesn't matter. Israel and Palestine, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Ukraine, Russia, it does. Also, wars today don't even finish.
No.
They just keep on. The people don't even move out. They stay there and risk. It's always on the price of on the head of the low people. And they are not low. They think they're just not good. Me. Well, I wrote 6 books and all this stuff. I can't fix into system. I can't regurgitate anything. Therefore, I'm not system relevant. But I can talk to other humans, and I'm very good with humans all over the world. I know artists all over the world and people like you. We have a human. That's why I want to make people aware that it is more important to have a connection with a human than have a degree of Harvard. If you cannot deal with humans, any degree, system relevant degree, doesn't do anything to you. I had an interview with Forbes today. And it was really great to get it. It's to get it and then have it. 15 minutes afterwards, I was normal as everything, because system accolades don't even give you something. I talked to people that had Oscars. They said, Oscar was, first of all, I mean, it was nice to get it and all this stuff. But now my thing is worse because everybody expects for me to do more than I did. It's never enough, right? You always have to do more. And I don't get independent movies anymore because the people assume I have an Oscar, now they can't afford me.
Yeah.
See, it's never enough. In every single motorcycle, Oscar, economy, finances, stocks, everywhere you look has one common denominator. It's all humans that are natural, but the systems say it's never enough. Yeah. And you can't live on when you know instinctively we have enough and we could enjoy life like in nature. Yeah. And you feel you are forced to neuter, castrate yourself to be generalized as man, as, wherever you are, as woman, as gay, as whatever, to fit in. And have you ever found a human being that told you, hey, Nick, I really fit in. I'm with this and this. I've never heard one single person tell me they fit in. Oh, I didn't fit in. I've talked to quarterbacks and cheerleaders, and they said, I never fit in. I've felt always insecure, because our dynamics of it's never enough is pushing. And everybody basically works for nothing.
Yeah.
Because the rich people can take it home.
When I was racing, all I wanted to do was win. You want to win the races. All you really care about is winning races, getting out front, gathering up those trophies, right? And then, I quit racing and that stuff isn't as important. And then, I guess it's been almost 10 years ago now, my mom's house burned down and all of it goes up in smoke. And now, I don't care about the trophies. All I want is the pictures and the videos, Of course. And back then, that stuff wasn't as important. We bought a nice camera, but we couldn't really figure out how to use it. So we kind of just left it in the motorhome most of the time. And now it's I just wish I had those pictures. I wish my memory was not as great as it used to be. I just want the pictures. And at the time, if you would have told me hey, do you want to keep the trophies or the pictures? It's well, fuck it. I could take more pictures. I'm not going to win more races.
But same here.
Yeah. It's a different thing. It's
what are you missing? What is more important? The camaraderie you found on the track and with the mechanics and everything, or that you won?
Yeah, I mean, I barely won any. It's nothing. I barely won any races. I won 2 races in my entire career.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's nothing. The relationships are the important thing. When I moved here up to Idaho, I thought I was going to be up here by myself forever. None of my friends are going to move up here. None of the people I raced with are ever going to move up here. I'm just going to be up in Idaho by myself forever. And now my friends that I raced with moved here. And it's
awesome.
We moved to Southern California. We raced each other in Northern California for years. We didn't really know each other. We kind of just raced against each other and never really met each other all that much. And then we moved down to Southern California separately. Yeah. Meet up down there, end up becoming roommates. Again, separate for years. And then one day he sends me a message on Instagram. He goes, "Oh, you've got a nice house. Where do you live?" I said, "I live in Nampa, Idaho." He goes, "I just moved 10 minutes from there." And it's awesome. that's the awesome part of it, and now we can talk about it, which is better than looking at the couple trophies I got left. Those are just sitting on a shelf gathering dust.
Yeah, and they're not even relevant. If a system relevant person comes to you that likes motorcycle, you say, okay, it's nice. You have something. It doesn't mean anything. For you, it meant lot to win it. Yeah. But for anybody now, this is why it's a short-term acceleration, and then it's nothing.
No one cares. It's wild. When I was in high school,
nobody cares.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I was a good racer, and all the people that I rode with sucked. And it was why does nobody care? Maybe if I could get some people to go and watch us, they could see that I'm better than these guys, and then they would care. And you go out and the normal people watch, and they can't even tell the difference. It's no one cares. And once I finally realized that, it was empowering. Because it's okay.
Yeah, it's totally empowering. Yeah.
No matter what I do, they're not going to care. So stop trying and just enjoy it.
Exactly. Where Hamilton, he's going to Ferrari, right? And what, it doesn't matter, you know, he was 7 years Mercedes, and people are over it already.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's Ferrari. It is all the system relevant accolades. And I always say, you know, why soldiers are honored is because they're not getting paid and they're totally disregarded.
Yeah.
So the only system, because it's never enough in systems, the only system nurturing is, or false hope generator is, that they get honored in 2 days, Memorial Day and Veterans Day. You know, they get, there's no, just I'd ask every of your listeners, remember when you were successful, whatever you were, whatever, you won a football game, you won, whenever you in a company, what is it? How important is it? It is not important once you did it, but it was saying, if you are successful, your life is going to be different. And it didn't change. It didn't change. Your win didn't change your life, because Olympians kill themselves because they, you know, they get to, they train and train years and years and years. They get the medal, boom, next thing, okay, where's the next Olympics? Okay, London was done, the next one in Paris, okay, and you're forgotten.
Yeah.
And you cannot keep repeating Olympics because your body is dependent on your body. You know, you can do, like I said, 2, 3 Olympics, then it's done.
Yeah,
And
it's tough.
So
when I quit racing, like there was so many things wrong with me looking back now that like I would change. The biggest thing was like I had 0 positive male influences in my life. Like my dad had gone crazy on drugs by that point. And like the people that I was around were either my age, or if they were older, they just weren't good to be around, essentially. Like not bad people, but just not like positive role models that are going to help you find the right path. And it's like, you're a moto guy. Like there's nothing like that adrenaline rush that you get from riding or doing a good trials run. Like you get that rush that you can't get anywhere else. And when you stop, it's like you're just dropped out of an airplane. It's like, what do I do now? You know? And for me, all I really knew at that point was drugs. And I got so heavily into drugs that I almost killed myself. Not like, you know, on purpose, suicide, but like I was 120 pounds at one point living on the streets in Maui. Like it was so bad. And looking back on it now, it was like you had this massive gap in your life that you had no idea how to fill. And you did what you thought you wanted at that time. But looking back on it, it was horrible. And I really just needed somebody that I trusted, that I could like confide in, to go, look, this is what's going on with you. This is not an abnormal thing. Like this happens to athletes. This happens to people. Like you just got to find something that you enjoy and get good at it again. Like maybe you're not ever going to be a pro rider like you were, but you were a really good trail rider and we could get you into this off-road series. I had a couple guys tell me that and it was kind of just like, you know, I don't want to. And looking back on it now, I was like, why didn't I do that? I was so good at that. I would have enjoyed it so much. Now, when I think about going and buying a new bike, which I would like to, I don't even care to go and race motocross all that. I just want to go out and ride in the mountains again.
Exactly. And enjoy it. And it's so much magic. What you described it's what the artist does.
Yeah.
What you're creating, and you feel so much magic. And then the system, because art product is always a commodity. So that's why it's so good when artists die, because there's only a limited amount. And then you can actually you can systemically get more money because there's only 5 of those pictures. And you can think, but basically, there's so much magic in the creation, even when you do a collaborative. Let's say you and I sing, okay? And we had so much fun. We totally enjoy our jam sessions. And the people say, you guys are horrible. Then we start arguing because the system, we said, okay, Nick wasn't good enough. He didn't hit the note right. Or I wasn't doing the riff right. And always this, because it's never enough, right? Whatever we do. And the excuse is because nobody likes it. Oh, these guys are bad. No, they're not bad. It's just, it's a magic when 2 people create something and it becomes relevant. You know, I mean, Billie Eilish was before Taylor Swift. She was the absolute whatever. Taylor Swift can boom. Nobody can, people care about it, Billie Eilish, but it's not. And before it was Lady Gaga, right? They're like, wow, da 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 da. And then next one comes, and it eats you up.
Yeah.
The systemic, we need to be aware that every time we are system relevant, it is every time we choose to be rather system relevant than human centric, we destroy us and others. Because if I'm a system relevant business person and say, oh, let me teach you this, or let me teach you. First of all, I can't teach you anything because you are one-on-one. I can say what I did and you can try to copy that or whatever resonates with it, use it. But if we do the human-centric choice in our lives and not adapting constantly, not, because adapting is sacrificing. We adapt automatically when you pretend, system relevantly pretend, and try to change because of the system. And there's millions of people that are different privately than systemically. That when you are systemically different than privately, you wasting, sacrifice, you neuter yourself, you do the worst thing to yourself. But the sad thing is you do it to others too. Because when you're in a bad mood, everybody else is in a bad mood. We are all interconnected. And see, this is what the rich people and the leaders don't understand. They think they're segregated. They have money. They believe the BS, the system BS that we all collectively, what's the word?
Generate?
No, we generated and we conditioned ourselves. I think we conditioned ourselves. So they think if you have money, you are great. You have, first of all, when you have money, fame, or success, it justifies your life, your relevancy, which you have. Every human has a relevancy by nature, because otherwise everybody would be the same. And that it justifies your life. So if you are getting the Purple Heart as a soldier, it makes all sense. Talk to soldiers that have the Purple Heart. They talk only about their friends, how they went through situations, how enriching it was through getting through to this and saving people, saving other humans. They never talk about, oh, we cut this, ears up or whatever, and we did this. No, they never say that. And they say, oh my God, I waited just for the Purple Heart to be, No, they wouldn't care if they have the world Purple Heart or not. They just enjoy their job so much, and I think that's, if we can, if this episode is saying, oh, what is human-centric system relevant, we can put my doc to it, that people get more clarity.
Yeah.
But just listen to this conversation of us, or the last 3 episodes we did, will make you understand, will make your life 50% easier. And I guarantee, once you get it, because you're not getting caught in the yap, you're not getting caught in the lies. When you do this, you get everything. When you are famous like Billie Eilish, the world is yours. No, it's not. And it's not about even saying money's bad. Money, I love money. Money is great. But it should be a reflection of your uniqueness, not of because you adjusted to everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Famous people, they don't live in the same world as we do. Sorry, my dog's going nuts. I was watching the races the other day, and they were making fun of this guy, this mechanic. And they were making fun of him because at one point when he was younger and he just didn't know how to get into the industry, he sent one of the greatest to ever do it a message on Facebook asking if he could be a mechanic. And they all kind of got a good laugh about it. And I thought about it, and I was like, man, for that guy, James Stewart, the guy he sent the message to, he can't even use Facebook like we can. Like, he's got so many messages on that freaking thing that he can't even use it. Like, we can use it. I use it to sell stuff. Like, I rent rooms and stuff. Like, I don't do the posting and anything like that. But, like, if somebody sends me a message, I see it come up and I can go read it. Like, for him, he's getting 1 million messages a day. Like, that, all that thing is for him is an advertisement. Facebook is just an advertisement for him. He doesn't get to use it like the rest of us do.
Yeah, other than he makes a private account.
Yeah,
If he does.
I mean, yeah, and then maybe you can make a private account. I don't exactly know how that works, but as far as just like having a normal experience on social media, they can't do it.
And you know what that is? We said we're going to talk about the doomsayers. It is and you said the keyword. You said the keyword. They live in another world. So when we iconize, which is unnatural, because you don't have a difference between an Elon Musk and other people in nature. Jeff, it's unnatural to have such a difference between people. And when you have that, we said they lose their connection to the other people in two ways. Either they can't use the systems like the Facebook, or they can't even get the truth anymore. And they're so afraid because they need every month, they need $100 million.
Yeah.
So what happens is icon. Do we make icons? Icons are religious things that religion systems made an artificial. There's no icons in nature. No animal has the golden elephant that all the elephants are praying to. We are all, that doesn't exist. So we made systemically icons so we can manipulate and control to get people into the religion, my religion versus your religion. We made these icons, and we still make these icons. And the icons, like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos and stuff, then believe. They have no other chance. They must believe, or Putin, or Biden, or Donald Trump. They must believe they're godlike. They cannot accept that every human is the same and they're just lucky to be in the right place at the right time. They have to believe that they are responsible for humans. And they just say that for covering their needs, not to be extremely following the rules. They just cover their needs by saying, okay, my ego says I wouldn't be in this position if I wasn't better than them. Bullshit. Nobody is better than anybody. And I want to say that very, very, very clear. Prove me wrong that everybody is not equal, because the system doesn't have a job for you, the right one where you would be the best, or the system has dealt it out. They say 97% of humans, and there's research done, system research, 90% of 3-year-old kids are geniuses. They can do something that nobody else can. When they're 30 and have their university and our system conditioned, there's only 3 extra gifted. So to tell me anything, there's nobody in this world that can prove another human is more worth, because nature doesn't make a mistake. They wouldn't make you different than me. So there is nobody better. It's my experience and yours. And you were luckier, or I was luckier if I'm rich in the system. But system relevance has nothing to do with your worth. Because otherwise everybody would be the same. All black people would be the same. They're not the same. If you don't see, haven't you listened to music? Because that's where art is so magical, right? You listen to an album, it's totally shredding heavy metal, and all of a sudden you see, oh my God, this is an African-American person. This is an Asian person. Asian play better salsa than a lot of salsa bands. I didn't know that, but I learned that through art, listening, that you cannot even hear it, that they're different. They're so precise in copying that you can't say, oh.
Yeah. When you say nature doesn't make mistakes, it reminds me, I've been doing I watched a really cool video on YouTube the other day. It was about like Neanderthals, essentially. And we kind of have this view of Neanderthals as these like jolly cavemen with the shiny nose, and they're just happy-go-lucky living with nature. This was not the case. These were like brutal apex predators that were 3 times as strong as us. They could see at night. And we essentially were at war with them for 100,000 years. Northern Europe and Southern Africa in the Middle East. They would push down. And this went on for 100,000 years, where the Neanderthals would raid us. They would eat our men, capture our women, rape and impregnate them. And, this went on for a long, long time until we finally got better at war than they did. But the interesting thing is, we still have Neanderthal DNA in us today, right? And that was from all this interbreeding, you could call it. ChatGPT scolded me for calling it rape. They said, these are different cultures and you can't call everything rape. But anyways, the way it would happen is when a male Neanderthal would impregnate a female human, you would get a crossbreed. The females were more human and capable of breeding. The males were more Neanderthal and not capable of breeding. So over time, you get this interbreeding and more of these half-breeds breed with normal humans. And now we have a lot of that DNA that we got from them was useful to us. If it wasn't useful to us, we would have shed it thousands and thousands of years ago.
No mistakes.
You're right. Yeah. And if you think about our systematic war, like we're always at war. It's always, we were at war for the entire beginning of our species. We're so programmed to be at war. Like some of these scientists think that we're actually afraid of the dark because we were hunted by these things for so long. So like when you talk about systems today, like these systems have been baked into us for the entirety of our species. It's no wonder that we're a warlike species. We were bred out of war. We would have gone extinct if we didn't get better at war than they did.
I understand, but we are also
I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying
no, we are wiser though. We have grown. We have grown. I think that, and also that was a natural system.
Yes.
That was a natural system that
natural selection.
And I said with you, I said to have a system when everybody takes care of their horses and food, it's a great thing. Systems are great, but they can't, because of it's never enough, they become in lack. And all the people that work for the systems are in lack too. And all the leaders that work are in lack too. So we are, it's basically survival. Humans are pushed in a corner. It's survival, me or you.
Survival of the fittest.
We would Darwin. Never hurt each other, but if they put us in the survival mode and we have no other way, we fight each other. I mean, we are gladiators. You know, that's what it is. But we grew and we became more conscious. And this is what now I think everybody's waking up, because saying there is another way. Because I think I've found with art creation, I think because we are all one of 8 billion people with a own life perspective, we also, if we're not expressing ourselves, otherwise you would always have wars in art. You have no wars in art. When you go to an art opening, there's Republicans, Democrats, rich, poor, gay, lesbian, trans, and they talk to each other, because the magic of just being in an experience of art. When you see Taylor Swift singing, everybody's there, not only white people. And everybody sings the same words. They remember the words. We are one. And that's where you see that. So we got the consciousness that we could actually sing and be together and enjoy the lives. And and it's not about the product, it's about the creation. When you collectively create, when you collectively motorcycle, when you collectively do something, express yourself. So you express yourself with motorcycles. I express myself with motorcycle and art, and you are an artist too. So as long as you're expressing yourself, you're not getting angry, because you're not, at least in the expression of art, you learn about yourself. So I can say, Nick, you're an asshole, but, you know, and okay, you see, it's totally shaming. But then because you created so much and you fixed so much motor by it, I cannot really get into it. I mean, you're going to be hurt and think, but I can't really get into you, because you have an experience by creating something out of nothing, by fixing something that is broken. That's why it's so important that all people, because the only antidote to war, which I found in my article, is art. The only antidote. And I was never figuring out, why are the war strategists killing religion, as in mosques, churches, and the art? Because those are connection where the people come together. And where people are, those are the magical, or
communism, communist Russia got rid of all that shit because they didn't want us doing exactly what we're doing right now, talking to each other.
Yeah.
That's why you keep them
employed,
full employment, working all the time, eating together, like not doing anything as separate. Yeah. It's creepy.
They did it in Ukraine. They did it in Syria. They did it in the Taliban. They did it. Every war is the first thing they're not saying, okay, let's bomb that first, the financial thing. No. War as churches, culture, because that brings people naturally together, not systemically. You have to be a star that all the people come to. No, it just naturally brings people together and to talk to each other, because the second superpower we have is a conversation like you and I, where I'm not right or you are right. It's not about that. It's about we open our perspectives together. And by opening our perspective, we also become more self-aware. And, self-awareness trumps everything, because if you know who you are, I can say whatever I think you are, and it doesn't make a difference. Or the system can say, you're a loser, you should do this, you should this, and you know who you are.
Michael,
wow,
I think
that's a great talk.
I think that's a perfect way to get out of here. It's always good you got to find out who you are, what you believe in. Like I've always told people, find your line in the sand, because you don't want to have to find it at the time that you're already on it. Like find where your line is. What do I believe? Where am I going to stand up? Like I tell people all the time, like girls college sports is not your line. That is not the hill to die on. Like, let's calm down, figure out the real things that are causing real problems and figure it out. Michael, it's been a pleasure. We can't wait to have you on again. We'll see you later, everybody. Good night.